I stood at the edge of the canyon, watching the wind whip the red dust of West Texas over the fresh mound of earth where my sister Elena was supposed to be resting. My brother Julian stood beside me, his hand resting a little too heavily on my shoulder. He whispered, "Don't worry, little sister. I will run the ranch with the respect it deserves," something a city girl like Elena never understood. In that moment, the radio in our father's old truck, parked 20 yards away, erupted with the specific rhythmic honk of a kettle horn, three short, too long. It was the signal Elena was not in that ground, and Julian had just stepped into the light of his own greed. Before I tell you how we set the trap, let me know in the comments where you are listening from. This story of blood and dust might just make you look twice at your own family tree. I never thought I'd be burying a sibling at 32. I was the baby of the family, and the one who left the Sierra Blanca ranch for a life in Austin. Elena was the rock, the 38-year-old vet who stayed to help our father manage 10,000 acres of prime Texas land. Then came the phone call on a blistering Tuesday in July 2019. A horse riding accident, they said. A spooked stallion and a bad fall onto the jagged outcrop. But as I stood by that empty casket, the timeline felt jagged too. Julian, our middle brother, was the only one who found her. Julian, who had always complained that Elena was the favorite, that she was suffocating the ranch with her modern conservation ideas. At the funeral, he did not look like a man who had lost his partner. He looked like a man who had finally won a lifelong race. The turning point came when I found Elena's medical bag in the tech room. It was zipped shut, but inside her stethoscope was missing, the one she wore like a second skin. Then I saw it, Julian's reflection in the window, watching me. He did not offer a hug. He told me that heat was getting to my head and that I should head back to Austin before the estate lawyers arrived. That night, I received a coded message on an old burner phone we used as kids. "The hawk is in the nest. Meet at the old windmill at midnight." When I got there, Elena climbed down from the rafters, alive and bruised, but very much real. She told me the truth. Julian had not just watched her fall, he had loosened the cinch on her saddle. He wanted the ranch sold to a fracking company, a deal Elena had blocked for years. To catch him, she'd used her veterinary sedatives to slow her heart rate enough to fool a panicked local coroner who was also Julian's poker buddy. He thinks he's inherited a kingdom, Elena whispered in the dark. But he's actually inherited a debt. We spent the next 48 hours playing a dangerous game. I acted the part of the grieving, fragile sister, letting Julian comfort me while I wore a wire. We led him to believe there was a hidden second will in the ranch's old safe, a will that supposedly left everything to a local land trust. The climax did not happen in a courtroom, it happened in the ranch office, under the glow of a single lamp. Julian, desperate to find the will before the lawyers arrived, began tearing the room apart. He started shouting about how Elena was always the golden child, how he'd spent 40 years in her shadow, and how he deserved every cent of the fracking money for the sacrifice of staying on the land. He admitted to the cinch, admitted to the plan, his voice dripping with 40 years of fermented envy. When the local sheriff stepped out from behind the gun cabinet, Julian did not fight, he just collapsed. Then the envy that had fueled him for decades had finally burned him out. The twist: Elena did not send him to prison for life. She offered him a choice: sign over his portion of the land to a family trust he could never touch, or face the attempted murder charges. In an act of radical forgiveness that I still struggle to understand, she chose to save the family name over seeking total vengeance. Julian left Texas that night, a man with nothing but a bus ticket and the weight of his own shadow. Elena and I sat on the porch as the sun rose over the Sierra Blanca. The ranch was quiet, the dust had settled, and for the first time in our lives, the air felt clean. Family is not just the blood in your veins, it's the truth you are willing to tell when the lights go out. If you believe in second chances, hit that subscribe button. We have all got shadows in our past. The trick is making sure they don't block out your future.